Hi, Mary.
Hi, Tatiana.
I'm so excited for this conversation
Me
with
too.
wonderful Mary Grant, who is a serial entrepreneur with highly successful business, fashion business, and now thinking partner, trusted advisor to entrepreneurs, and multiple book writer. Mary, how many books have you written? Three?
I have three.
Four?
Yeah, three.
Three.
Two,
Wow.
three, four. Four.
Four.
Yeah,
Speaking about intensity,
I know. I know. That really shows up when you're writing a book.
okay. So what does it mean actually? It really shows up when you're writing the book.
Oh, so if I compare the first book that I wrote, which took 18 months, to the book that I just finished and handed over to my designer last night that took 6 weeks, I can see the difference when a book takes over and it reveals itself as what it actually wants to be. You start clearing space that you didn't realize you had.
Mm, wow. When the book takes over. And it's like, for me, it's almost like a symbol of when the mission takes over, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
And for me, this is an important part of intensity because intensity is like also this passion, this energy of the mission. It's kind of like can take over, and there is a creation on the other side, right? Or it takes over and we get into the tunnel vision and we
Mm.
become like potentially, or I can become like dog with a bone, like so attached, not noticing, like having blinkers on.
Yeah. That's exactly how I experience it. I've always said I'm like a dog with a bone. When I get focused on something, it's like I can completely ignore everything that's going on around me and just get laser focused and just go, go, go until it's done.
Yes, and that's of course an important part of this being in this intense moment.
Mm. Yeah.
So Mary, I'm curious, when is it actually productive? When is it like something that is really creative? And when is it something that could potentially stop one from seeing the opportunities?
Mm. Yeah, and there's two very different ends of the scale there. So, like when it shows up, when it's healthy, I've got laser focused clarity.
Mm-hmm,
My decision making, my decision making is fast and it's accurate.
mm-hmm,
Massive creative output, like
mm-hmm,
massive creative output. It's when I have a clear direction on something, I am out the door and gone with it, while other people are still examining it from 10 different angles. Like it
mm-hmm.
is fast, it is furious, it is focused, it just happens really fast. Things happen really fast. And then on the
Mm-hmm.
flip side of that is the laser focus. Is where other things just fall away.
Mm-hmm.
And that is something that I completely know I am guilty of. It's like I ignore other things that I'm supposed to be doing and I will stick with this thing until it's done.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Wow. And and how do you know when there is actually when the sense of urgency is not as productive to the mission as it might be?
I I think when I get really focused on something, it's something I can see the finish line. So
Mm-hmm.
if something is a mission and it's a longer vision and you can't see all the steps, I won't get as focused. I won't be as intense about that. I'd be more inclined to pace myself. But in like using a book as an example, you can see the finish line. It's got a very clear finish line. when I'm producing my fashion collections, it's got a very clear finish line. I can
Mm,
almost write the date. Well, I was doing the book and it was like, oh, one more edit, one more edit. Each one is leveling it up. Each one is making it better. And even that's intensity. And it was pushing out this deadline. But if there's a deadline, I will go for it. And I can
mhm,
almost, there's not too many deadlines where I can't finish way ahead of deadline with the
mhm,
focus that I get. But if something is a longer game, it's like I can almost use my focus in a different way where it's about pace and where now it becomes about removing things.
mhm,
So my
mhm,
focus will switch, my intensity will switch to something else that will allow the space that I need to keep going, that will allow the energy that I need to go for a longer time. And then it will become about stripping things out.
mhm, mhm. Yes, no, I see. Basically, you're talking about this advantage of having this deadline, a finish line, and it's very much resonates with me having worked in finance for 25 years. You know, when there is a deal that needs to be launched within a week, that generates a huge excitement, and everything else seems to be falling aside when we're going for that.
Mm,
And I'm wondering where even in this space where like how can we stay also open to might be different perspective, might be someone who could help us,
mm,
might be something that we are not noticing because this tunnel vision, yeah, can be detrimental
mm.
as well, to actually that mission and that finish line.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And I think it's fine for projects, but if it's like one project on top of another, on another, on another, and now you've got all these projects stacking up, it's like, where do you do anything else?
Right.
It's a great question. And it's one that I sat with when I was writing this book because I knew I was like, I was down that rabbit hole and I wasn't coming out until I was finished.
Mhm. And sometimes this is exactly what is required,
Mm,
right? And yet, what are the checkpoints that we can introduce to ourselves to check whether it's whether we're being stuck in a tunnel vision or is it really what is needed right now? You
mm,
know, that's my
yeah.
question.
And I think for me, where that shows up is what's the reason that I'm doing this?
Mhm, mhm,
So, like, while I went down the rabbit hole with this book for 6 weeks and I was borrowing time over Christmas when everybody was asleep or they were out visiting friends or whatever, I was clearing space where I could have done
mhm,
other things. So I
mhm,
was I was maximizing all of the pockets of space that I had that I might have used for watching Netflix or doing whatever I was doing. And I was keeping my momentum going by using these pockets of time. And then the last stretch was like really focused. So
mhm,
going from first draft to second draft, that was 3 weeks of focus. But if this was a project that was going to take a year, I couldn't do it like that because I knew if I stuck with it, I could get it done, I could collapse time, and I could get on to the next thing. So now it's done. It could have taken, like my first book, it could have taken me 18 months,
mhm,
six
mhm.
weeks, start to finish, job done.
Do you know what I'm hearing you saying? First of all, it's so important to connect with the purpose or like with understanding. Purpose is a big word. Why is it so important for me? Do you know?
Mm,
And then become really clear on our
mm,
commitment. Do you know this is like this personal inner commitment? Because
mm.
you're a mother of 3 children. You know that when kids were little and if one of your children are ill, that becomes the priority, right?
Yeah.
In the same way, because it's like we have this personal inner commitment. We know what it is like, right? And
Mm,
basically how to bring it to everything, like to the things that are really important, so that you can say no to the Netflix.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so true. And when I think back when my kids were small, I was raising my kids on my own with no input from my ex-husband. Everything was down to me, running the business, running the house, doing the school runs, all of that stuff was all down to me. And there was a lot of intensity and focus on my business in the pockets of time that I had to do that. But if something happened with the kids, everything got dropped. That was my number one focus. It was that because I was using pockets of time to really get focused on something, it cleared up time in other areas. So if I spent 3 or 4 hours doing something that might have filled 10 hours if I let it, now I've got 6 hours free. And that's how I use my intensity and my focus. It's like, if I focus for this short period of time, look at the amount of time that clears up outside of that.
I love that. So actually how creating a very clear pockets of time actually frees up a lot of other time
Yeah.
and becomes super clear on what is most important right now,
Mm.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. And if I
Brilliant.
relate that to my fashion collections, so I reduced when my business went online during COVID, I didn't reopen my stores. I kind of wanted to burn the business to the ground. I was done with it. This coaching bug has bitten. And I was like, if I'm going to continue with this, I have to be able to do it in 4 hours a week. And I did. But I did that from 6 months of asking myself, how can I make this lighter and easier? How can I make this lighter and easier? And it meant that I shed hours and hours of stuff that was unnecessary.
So it's like what is actually most important, and that's what's like becoming so clear what is most important in terms of the commitment, and also what is most important even in terms of the actions.
Yeah. And the energy that you want to give to something. It's like, I
Right.
don't want to be out in that stock room 8 hours a day shipping orders. I have it down to a system now where I can get an order out in 5 minutes. I can get a weekend's worth of orders and I can have them out in 2 hours on a Monday morning, and now I'm free. So it's like, for me, it's like that. It's like it's playing with that high intensity in some areas to create space in other areas.
So it's being very aware where you're dialing up the intensity and
Mm.
when you're reducing it as well.
Yeah.
So Mary, because you looked at some of my book ideas and book thinking, you know my thoughts on intensity as energy and how we can direct it.
Mm.
So I believe we can dial up our intensity in kind of four worlds of our life, of our existence, like emotional world, when we feel intensely, right? And
Mm.
sometimes anger comes up and it's energy, right? Or physical intensity, like even going and writing or over exercising, right? Mental intensity, thinking, creating plans, and even energetic intensity might be spending too long in being, right? Which is also, it's all about balance. So I'm
Mm.
wondering, when you look in those four worlds, where do you feel you are most intense?
I feel like mentally and energetically.
Hmm.
So mentally, it's like, it's just how my brain works.
Hmm.
And you
Hmm.
tell me that there's something around that being a projector in human design and being a 5 in the Enneagram. It's like, okay, so we know why my brain works like that. And I can completely nerd out on things and go down the rabbit hole, and I just find it all really exciting. So definitely mentally, and energetically, I can really feel when something is off, even if I don't know what it is, and I can feel that very quickly. And here's the woo. I don't, you know me, I don't think I'm woo, but obviously I'm a little bit woo. Um,
Wow. You're wow.
wow, I'm wow woo.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And I feel like I'm steadier in physical. So um, I feel like I'm very steady when it physically. So physically, I could start going at 7 in the morning and I can go right through until until bedtime, and I won't have a dip in energy. But it's like, don't put pressure on me, because I'll spiral if you put pressure on me. And I think that's why I can pace myself so well. And if I know that I have a deadline for the 10th of March, I will aim to have that finished at the end of February, so that I've got all this time where it's like, ah, and it just brings a completely different energy to it for me.
So it's fascinating because, of course, intensity and pressure are interconnected. And yet you say, don't put pressure on me. So basically, it's external pressure that doesn't work for you.
Yeah, yeah. My intensity is it's all internal. It's all driven by, oh, if something feels like fun, it's like, whew, I'll totally geek out on that. If something feels like fun, if I see that something is going to have a big impact, so I get as intense about other people and their mission in their business as I do about my own.
Mhm, mhm.
And I think that's because I can bring a lot of my creative energy to what they're doing as well. And it's a way for me to use creativity that lots of people can have it, instead of going into my own little world and creating like a lunatic, which I can also do. Um, where was I going with that? I've forgotten.
So you're saying something important, that, of course, one of the drivers of this healthy intensity is also thinking, how is it serving wider needs? Who can
Yeah.
benefit from that? So what I'm very curious about, you think, okay, mental intensity, it's where for you, like, and energetic, where it's kind of originates. And I'm wondering, when does it become not of service? Like, how do you know? When is
Oh,
the switch?
I feel like when it's like the opposite of all of the things that are really good about it. So I can be over responsible for other people's things. So it's like that will tip me into unhealthy. I feel over responsibility. Sometimes, I would be more passionate about what somebody's doing than they are themselves. I mean, that's ridiculous.
Mhm,
Or I might carry other people's emotional stuff, or I allow people to plug into my nervous system. And if I don't catch myself, it can completely derail me.
mhm. So what are the signs that, like, that you know, okay, actually right now it's not serving me anymore. It's not serving the mission anymore.
Yeah. And I think that's where I see that showing up, is if I haven't created boundaries around something. So if I
Mhm,
create the boundaries and I'm very intentional about the boundaries, and the boundaries are there for a reason, I'm really good at keeping them. But
mhm,
I
mhm,
find that I can get dragged down if I haven't created those.
mhm. So kind of what are non-negotiables?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So there's one very simple thing where like I'm so passionate about everybody's books, and I'm helping lots of people write their books at the moment, and I'm so passionate about everybody's books. But I'm like, I have people in all different time zones. Like, oh my God, I can be getting a message at 12 o'clock at night when I'm getting into bed, where somebody is in the middle of a writing session, and I'm like, oh my God, now I'm going to be awake until 3 o'clock. So,
Wow.
It's just little things like that. And I'm like, okay, I need to create proper boundaries around things that work, that keep it clean, that, that it works for everybody. We all, just little things like that, where if it's something new that I'm doing and it doesn't have a system yet, I can see all of the unhealthy versions of intensity showing up before I create the container that it lives in. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it completely makes sense. And what particularly makes sense, like this explanation, you read the message late at night, and then it keeps you awake for 3 hours because your mental intensity goes into overthinking, right?
Yes.
And yet it's not like that this person is standing next to you and demanding that you read the message, right?
Mm.
They don't start calling
Me.
you nonsense. It's you, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
exactly what it's whether it's with you or that's what I see happening with bankers, right? With whom
Mm.
I work a lot on private equity. It's like this need. I need to respond right now to this message, right?
Mm.
And it's us. We're taking this responsibility and then going into blaming of someone else. I'm not suggesting you do that, but it's what I'm observing, right? Because
Mm.
it's an interesting nuance, right?
It is. Yeah. It is. And for me, I won't feel that emotionally. It's like my brain will start going. So there's the mental
Mm.
intensity kicking in. Now I'm worried, what are they doing over there? Or how can I get them unstuck? And how can I keep them moving forward so that they're not getting stuck? They've put aside 3 or 4 hours to do this. If I don't answer them, they're going to be stuck and they're going to waste all that time.
So you
So that's
create
how
this
it shows
nuance.
up for me. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Mm.
Interesting. And what have you found really helpful to deal with this spiral of overthinking?
I have to put I have to put a boundary around it.
So
So
what does it mean concretely?
for instance, I took, like, all of my conversations happen in WhatsApp, and I was like, okay, all of the work stuff needs to go in the work WhatsApp. Simple solution. Everybody knows what it's for. Everybody knows when I'll be there. Now I don't have to let my brain go like a crazy lunatic at 11 or 12 o'clock at night because it's contained.
Mhm. So you have to become clear with yourself and set very clear intention and then
Mm,
communicate it very clearly with others.
exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Mm.
And
Okay.
I think once we do that, and people get it, but we have to communicate what's going on. We have to put things in place that are going to work for them, for us,
Yeah.
so
And we have
that.
to be clear and honest with ourselves first, right?
Mhm,
Because nobody is going to read your mind. Nobody knows what is going on in your mind.
exactly.
Wow. Okay. My other thought is I believe that when we're overly intense in one area and not balanced between all four areas, that this disbalance can actually lead to more unhelpful, even toxic version of intensity. So what do I mean by it? For example, if we're thinking so much, well, for me, it's emotions, right? And we're actually energetic, very attuned, we kind of suppressed our emotions.
Mm,
Or we haven't listened to our body that our body needs to maybe go for a run or go for a fast walk. Then
mm,
that's actually will create this balance that we might feel not next day, but in a week's time for sure, or in a year's time. So I'm wondering, when I say that, what are your reflections on that?
my reflections are, why are you reading my mind? Yeah, because it's like I'll turn it up mentally, energetically, and physically I will turn it up. Emotionally, I turn it way down. Yeah,
Mm,
I get that. And it's like, it's almost like, it feels like a survival thing. It's like, well, if I'm ramped up in all the areas, I'm literally like, I'm going to be completely frazzled. So if I'm ramped up in this area, I've got to keep it calmer in another area. So for me, the emotional one is like, that's the one that's calmest.
And I find it fascinating that you say if I'm ramped up in all areas. What if actually the counterintuitive truth is actually when you connect it to, to intensity in other worlds, your intensity in your main world will become healthier.
Mm, mm. And you're the expert on intensity. So I can get all that balance going. When is this book going to get written? We all
Oh
need this book,
my God, yeah,
Tatiana.
that's right. But, you're giving me some ideas on this, on literally creating this pockets of focus and connecting it with how I felt on the deals.
Mm,
And actually, it's I'm questioning myself, as well. Have I really created the personal inner commitment for that? That's what
mm,
we teach, right? But have I really, or is it kind of becoming a déjà vu goal? Because I have so much written, and
mm,
yet what's stopping me putting it out in the world?
mm,
And there are many stories, many answers to that.
mm. Yeah. And I guess there's a lot of things that are priorities. So it's like, how close to the top of the list does it get?
So yes, it's like how important is that?
Mm,
And then literally creating a pocket of time for that. This is right
yeah,
now the most important thing in that pocket of time.
exactly. Exactly. And I think you're speaking exactly to what happened with my book. So when I was creating those pockets of time over Christmas, it was like future version of me was waiting for that book to show up. Future
Mm,
version of me was at the finish line going, come on, come on. A couple of hours here, you'll move it forward. A couple of hours there, kids are out with their friends, or they're in bed because it's Christmas and the phones were quiet. The Zoom calls weren't happening. I was like, loads of time here to make this happen. But it was that reason that I wanted to have it done was waiting.
yes, and that's actually connecting with this future version of us and what is the future version needs the most, like being
Mm,
really clear, right? And that's what helps with everything, with exercise, with healthy eating, and with also following what is really important for us, whether it's a book or new job or or building the business, right?
yeah, yeah.
Oh,
That's what will guide it.
right. I love this conversation, Mary. So, Mary, what advice would you give to our listeners in terms of how to harness this creative energy of intensity?
For me, there has to be the vision.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Focus on the vision first.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to know all the steps. We know that. You only have to know the next one. But focus on the vision first. For me, it always starts with that, whether it's having a collection designed, whether it's having a book written. It's like, what does the finish line look like?
Yes. I love that. And that's exactly, I say it's almost like when you go sailing, you need to know the destination, right?
Mm,
And the wind might blow, the weather changes. And that because you knew why you wanted to go somewhere, there might be next village next door you want to visit on your sailing trip because it offers what the first village was provided.
I love
You
that.
have to be clear, right?
Yeah, I love that.
So, Mary, where can our listeners find you?
Um, I'm not very active on LinkedIn. I do have a LinkedIn account. I'm more active on Instagram at the Mary Grant or through my website, marygrant.com.
So on Instagram, your link is at Mary Grant.
The Mary Grant, because I
The
have
Mary,
two.
the
Yeah.
Mary Grant. Okay, okay,
Yeah.
great,
Yeah.
great, fabulous. Well, thank you so much, Mary, and
Thank
thank
you,
you to our
Tatiana.
listeners.
Thank you.
I enjoyed our conversation.
And you too. Bye.